So, earlier today, we were talking about this thing called School of Heart, and then talked about the heart. That led us to dive into Zen Buddhism. You see, Mencius laid the groundwork for School of Heart, but Zen Buddhism uses Buddhist language to explore the study of the heart. The whole point is to focus on our own heart, dig deep, and discover our true nature to achieve enlightenment. But here's the tricky part: how do we understand this stuff? There's this 11-word phrase in the Diamond Sutra that goes like, to have no fixed idea, yet give rise to the mind. It's a bit mind-boggling, right? I mean, don't we always have a mind? Why do we need to make a big deal about it? Well, in our everyday state, sure, we have a mind, but it's all an illusion. This mind calls the shots and brings about all sorts of desires, expectations, worries, hopes, fears, and even despair. It's all thanks to karma, which gives birth to this mind, and that's why we call it the karmic consciousness. So, this karmic consciousness thing is made up of 5 parts, which we call the 5 aggregates. If you know a bit about Buddhism, you've probably heard of them, right? Ever recited the Heart Sutra? It's a short sutra that mentions these 5 aggregates: form, sensation, mental formations, volition, and consciousness. Let's break it down. The first track is form, which is all about how our senses interact with the world. It's about the stuff we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. Then we have sensation. You know when you drink coffee and feel that bitter taste? That's what we're talking about. It's about experiencing different feelings, like pleasure or pain. And when we have those feelings, our minds start churning, right? That's mental formations. Desires pop up, and that's when the thinking kicks in. We start thinking about how to fulfill our desires and achieve our goals, which is called volition. And to make those goals happen, we need to be able to tell things apart and recognize what's what. That's where consciousness comes in, the 5th track on our mixtape. Form, sensation, mental formations, volition, and consciousness all come together to shape who we are on a regular day. It's all influenced by karma, which is why we call it karmic consciousness. We're always jamming to these 5 tracks, living our lives immersed in them. Remember the student who poisoned his classmates' water? Yeah, that whole thing was influenced by these 5 tracks: form, sensation, mental formations, volition, and consciousness. We confine ourselves within this karmic consciousness, remaining within our small self. This small self is certainly attached to forms and phenomena. We should not cling to anything, to have no fixed idea, yet give rise to the mind. That's the heart of the original mind. Our minds arise from this original heart. This original heart is both our own heart and the universe. This is called the Great Heart. Chinese philosophy, especially when it comes to the philosophy of life, is focused on nurturing and nourishing our hearts. It's not so much about the brain. In the Western world, they put a lot of emphasis on the brain, but in Chinese philosophy, it's all about cultivating the heart. The goal is to make our hearts as big as the sky, so that the universe and our hearts become one. What do you think? Do you believe in this idea? So, what exactly is Buddha nature? It's not about trying to achieve total emptiness and stillness. That's a misunderstanding of what Buddha nature is all about. Buddha nature doesn't mean emptying your heart and being completely still. Why do we even practice Buddhism then? Is it to get rid of all our emotions and feelings and just have an empty heart? Nope, that's not it. You have to actually do something to understand how it works. If your mind is completely blank with nothing going on, and you just sit there like a stone, well, guess what? A stone can do that way better than you. Can you really compare yourself to a stone? It's the stone that can truly achieve that empty-mindedness through sitting still. So, please, don't get Buddha nature all wrong. So, what does Buddha nature mean? Let me give you a simple example to explain it. Every guy and girl who comes into this world is meant to experience love at least once. It's not something they decide on their own. If it were up to personal choices, this world would be pretty weird. Some would choose love, while others would choose not to. But that's not how it works. Every person who enters this world is destined to experience love, and it's not their own decision. So, what does this tell us? It tells us that even before we were born, something was already waiting for each of us. We haven't even arrived yet, but love is already there, waiting for us. A specific love affair, just like any other specific thing, goes through its own cycle of starting and ending. It's kind of like an apple. You see, an apple grows, gets ripe, starts to rot, and eventually turns into dust. That's how specific love works between two people. But here's the thing, when that specific love fades away, it doesn't mean that love itself disappears. Love is a part of our inner Buddha nature, and it lasts forever. So, even though a particular love affair may come to an end, love itself continues to exist, never-ending and immortal. Imagine someone who has been through 5 relationships and got his heart broken every time. So, he comes to this big conclusion: love doesn't exist in the real world. If anyone tries to tell me that true love is out there, I'd burst out laughing. So, is this person right or wrong in their thinking? Well, he is definitely wrong. Just because his specific experiences of love didn't work out doesn't mean that love itself doesn't exist. By saying something like that, it shows that he has lost faith in love. Let's use this example to understand what Buddha nature really means. Buddha nature is like a mix of timeless values that exist in life, no matter the time period. And one of those values is none other than love. Hey, have you watched If You Are the 1-2? They featured a poem by Sangnyong Gyatso, 18th century CE, in the movie. Regardless of who actually penned it, I gotta say, it's beautifully written. It goes something like this: whether you see me or not, I'm right there, not feeling sad or happy. Whether you think of me or not, the affection remains, not coming or going. Whether you love me or not, love persists, not growing or diminishing. When I heard this poem, my first thought was Sangnyong Gyatso. He used this poem to bring the concept of love into the realm of Buddhism. What does our heart represent? It symbolizes the vastness of our universe. And what about the universe? It encompasses the timeless value of human existence. It doesn't come and go, grow or diminish. When we enter this world as individuals, we embark on our life journey, aligning ourselves with this eternal value. Buddhist philosophy guides us to live better lives, not to turn away from life. As Lu Xiangshan put it, all that happens within my universe is my own business. Lu Xiangshan was a trailblazer of the Wang Yangming school of heart during the Song dynasty. Now, let's flip that sentence around: our own business is intertwined with our universe. Do you think that your romantic involvement with someone of the opposite sex is solely about your personal matters? No, it goes beyond that. It becomes a part of your universe. And when you experience heartbreak, it's excruciating, right? Seeing others still holding hands, cherishing romantic moments, whispering sweet words, while you're left alone, feeling abandoned. You might perceive it as a stroke of personal misfortune by chance. But no, what affects you is also connected to the universe. It's not just your personal misfortune, it's part of the universe. Young folks need to embrace the philosophy of the heart, no doubt about it. These days, being a white-collar worker is the toughest gig for the younger generation. In my opinion, they suffer more compared to laborers or the new breed of migrant workers because of the circumstances they find themselves in. Let me give you an example. if I set up a street stall, I don't have many major worries. If the city inspectors show up, I can make a quick escape, and when they leave, I can come back. At most, I might feel a bit angry at them. But what about white-collar workers? They want to climb up the ladder and join the ranks of the upper class, yet they're always afraid of slipping down into the working class. Sure, their income might be higher than that of laborers, but they haven't achieved financial freedom yet. This social group often has a terrible mindset, with high rates of depression or anxiety. Those are the two main issues. Believe me, I'm not making it up. I recently crashed a get-together of my son's buddies from the post-80s generation. They were the main event and surprisingly took a liking to me, feeling like we didn't have the typical generation gap. They were super eager to hear from Mr. Wang, hoping he'd lend an ear to their stories so they could pick my brain afterward. Here's the thing, out of 10 of them, a whopping 8 were dealing with anxiety or feeling down. What's the plan? Should we run to therapists? Does that actually work? So, how does psychology even roll? At first, a shrink teaches you these mind-shifting tricks, and it might sorta work initially. But then it fizzles out. After a few failed attempts, the shrink's last-ditch effort, hidden in their pocket, is some good old meds. And what happens next? Boom! They become dependent on those pills. To be honest, I don't get why there's such a widespread epidemic of depression and all those things. They keep coming up with fancy names and having endless debates in the world of medical psychology. But why are these issues so damn common? It's not just genetics, you know. Sure, genes play a part. If someone's got them, they'll have those mental struggles no matter the era, even during the good times. But here's the thing, it's pretty widespread now, right? Look at Fudan University or any other college, for crying out loud. Don't they all have counseling centers? I'm scratching my head wondering why a place like Fudan University needs a counseling center. It's all about these young college kids, using some modern science called psychology. But where's the real problem? It's deep down in their hearts. That's why heart study ain't the same as psychology. What they really need is the school of heart, not just psych mumbo-jumbo. And what's that for, you ask? It's all about changing their fundamental approach to life. Their whole mindset hasn't truly shifted, they're just caught up in the pressures of this era. The era forces all those success-driven values and goals down their throats, right?